Welcome to Restoration Revolution episode 6. This week what we're going to be doing is we're going to really dive into pricing. I know there's been a lot of questions about that. When people are adding this service, they want to know, how do I price? And in previous episodes, especially in talking about sales and whatnot, one of the most important things that you always need to do is have your estimates ready before you go bid a job. So today, rather than, we talked about the different types of pricing a few episodes ago, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you how I price out jobs and how I bid jobs up here. Just as a side note, I'm going to be using some dollar amounts and whatnot that are specific to my company and that are specific to this area. So obviously they're not all going to be drag and drop. But I've tried to do it, easy enough so that you should be able to plug in your own info and come up with your own estimates. Alright, so for the purpose of this example, what we're going to be looking at is a 4-foot by 8-foot storefront window, okay, that's got our famous, or my favorite little anarchy sign, scratched or etched in, okay? It's etched in deep enough that it's going to catch my fingernail. The damage is 2 foot by 3 feet, okay, so a total of 6 square feet. And it's on a 4-foot by 8-foot window. So here are the first set of variables we need to get, okay? Variable number A is the window square footage, so that would just be 4 times 8. B is damage square feet, okay? What is the square foot of the damage? Next up, you're going to need to know what your labor rate per hour is. Now, if you're working for yourself, this is, that famous, what do you want to make an hour? If you're sending out employees, what are you going to have to pay them per hour? For D is going to be overhead rate per hour. Okay, again, if you work for yourself, that's going to probably, those two you can roll together. But if you've got to pay trucks, to pay for your trucks, your insurance, all that kind of stuff, depending on how you do your cost accounting, you'll figure out what that is. And last but not least is E, which is going to be material cost for the job. So to figure out the base price, okay, what we're going to do is take the time to do the job. Now, we tell people on average, that obviously varies by the user. For most users that are new, they're going to be able to do probably somewhere, in the first couple of months, somewhere from 10 to 15 square feet an hour, okay, of this type of damage. So that, but different jobs are going to require a different amount of time. So you're going to take the time, you're going to multiply that by your labor rate, which is an hourly, and your overhead rate combined, okay? And then you're going to add on to that the material cost, and that's going to give you your base price, okay? I'll go through a full quote on this job here in just a second, but I want to carry through to the rest. So next up, we're going to try to figure out what we add to that base price for profit, because right now there really isn't any profit built into this. What we need to do is first determine the type of window, okay? And what you want to do, is it tempered, annealed, or float, or plate, or is it mirrored? What you need to do is you need to call around and talk to several glass shops or whatnot and try to come up with a nice round number as to per square foot, what is that new glass, what would it cost to replace that glass? What you want to make sure you're including in that is going to be labor rates for installing it. You're also going to want to, if there are any recycling fees or whatnot. So here in the East Bay, Northern California, tempered runs at about $25 a square foot installed, annealed's at about 20, mirrors at about 15. Okay? What we're going to do then is we're going to take this information and now we're going to plug that into this second part of the equation, or the profit part, okay? Where you have B, or the damaged square footage, times whichever one. In this case, I've labeled tempered glass as variable F, so the square footage of damage times the price. Then I use what I call an equalizer. And the equalizer is going to be, my default equalizer is 0.5 or half, okay? But if someone is going, if they call and they say, I need it done tonight, or I need it done tomorrow, and you're really jumping through hoops, then I might do it times 1, or I might even go up to 1.5. If it's someone who is a repeat customer and I'm adding this on to other services that I might be doing for them, I might knock it down from 0.5 to 0.25, okay? It's just, this allows me some wiggle room to offer discounts. And again, because I've already figured into my base price all the costs of doing business, by messing with this, all I'm doing is messing with my margin. Okay? Then what I do is that I multiply that all out, I get my profit. So then I take my base plus my profit, and that gets my estimate. Okay? Now, what I do on every job is I do a price check. Okay? I take the variable A from the beginning, which is the window square footage. I multiply that by the type of glass and the cost per square footage. So in this case, you know, if it's tempered, I'm using the $25 a square foot. And then I multiply it by 0.3. Now, as long as that is greater than or equal to my estimate, I'm good to go. If my estimate is above that, then I can come back and play with the equalizer to get it. Again, the goal is to get it at about 30% the cost of replacement for that piece of glass. Alright, so now let's go through this one, and I'll bid this out with the numbers that I use for my company. So, to figure out the base price, again, this is a 1 hour job. I'm going to multiply that by my labor rate and overhead rate. If you add them together, is $100 an hour. Okay, and then for a job this size, I'm going to use about $10 in materials total. Okay, so that gives me my base price of $110. Next up, I'm going to look at my profit. So I'm going to take B, which is the square footage of damage, which was 6 square feet. It was tempered glass, so I'm going to multiply that by 25, okay, which is 150. Alright, and then I'm going to multiply that by my equalizer, which is 0.5, which is going to come out at $75. I add these two together and get 185. So that would be my estimate. Now what I'll do is I'll do a price check. I take 0.3 and I multiply that by $25 a square foot times the total square footage, 36 square feet. That's $800. Okay? And 0.3 of that is $240. Now this is the price check is greater than my estimate, so I know that that estimate should be an easy close. That should be an easy walk-in. Now, if I wanted to, I could play with the equalizer to increase my margin on this job, or if it were over, I could decrease it depending on it. So that's how I bid my jobs out here. Next up, Cole's going to go over a real quick little tip to answer a question that was asked last week. Thanks again.
Hey guys, it's Cole at GlassRenu. I'm the head trainer here at GlassRenu as well, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about frequently asked questions and troubleshooting that we get from brand new GlassRenu users. We just went over pricing, but now we got to talk about some of the common issues people have questions about. So I get calls from my brand new East Coast users all the time saying temperature, right? We just made it through the winter. The glass is cold, okay? We can definitely work on cold glass. We're not using any type of water. Remember that. It's all dry grinding. Take your temperature gun that we provided inside the system, check the temperature of the glass before you start the repair, and don't let it get any hotter than 80 degrees above surface temperature of the glass. Okay? Pretty simple. You can definitely work on it whenever it's cold outside, even when it's 10 degrees. Remember, no water, no freezing. We're good to go.
So thanks for watching this week's episode of Restoration Revolution. Next week we've got some pretty exciting stuff to discuss. But if you guys have any questions or comments on this week's episode that are specific to either pricing or some of the things that Cole mentioned, please drop us a line through the forum. And again, thank you for watching this week's episode of Restoration Revolution.